right, today I want to show you the airspace that we flew in. I usually just do a test flight and show some of the images from the camera, but I also want to talk about safety today and focus on what you need to actually fly in certain airspace. So let's use the real world example. This is an app called Aloft. Upgraded it and they're in connection with the FAA. So as you see, here I am in Chicago. The area I'm at now is right on the edge of Midway Airport, which is here. And you can see there's different sections. This is Chicago O'Hare, which is one of the largest airports in the U.S. And the area I was flying in is called Michigan City. So now if I was a little bit further west, as you see, these are the Indiana Dunes. It's a huge national park. Then I would not have been able to fly my drone in that area. That is against 107 regulations. But I was sitting somewhere in here. So these are the boats. This is, let's see, there's the park, the main road. There's Michigan City Airport, which is smaller. So I would say I was right in here by the bridge flying my drone. Now, based on this, as you can see, I was away from the National Dunes, but that's one thing to be aware of. This isn't the current weather, but this app is nice because it shows you the weather, the wind, to make sure that you're not exceeding your wind resistance on your aircraft. And then it talks about if you're in any airspace. This is a mission if you want to set up a mission. And this is if you need to get approval for land. So if I was flying in controlled airspace, then I actually would need to fill this out. But for us, we're not in controlled airspace. But if I was flying in Chicago O'Hare or over here in South Bend, Indiana by Notre Dame, or like I said, Chicago O'Hare or Midway, then you can see I would click on this and it says permissible up to 400 feet. And I would need to get approval for that here with the Lance authorization. But since I'm not, then I don't have to worry about that. It makes it a lot easier. So again, back here, Michigan City. And then since I don't have to get approval, there's nothing else to be aware of. I can do fly. It brings up a nice checklist. I went through and I checked everything, my remote, the aircraft, the camera, the propellers, and making sure you take off the gimbal cover. I've done that before. Sometimes I go to fly and I don't have an SD card in, so the drone alerts me. Sometimes I go to fly and my software's not up to date. So that's why it's good to go through this checklist. My aircraft might not be calibrated. And then making sure that I'm okay. I haven't had alcohol, I'm not sick, I'm not stressed out, and that I'm fully alert. So then you go to next, and then it asks you, here's a risk assessment. How many hours you've logged. This is new, I haven't seen this before. Just a lot of questions and things to be aware of to keep safe. Check your weather, is it day or night? If it's night hours, you need to make sure you have anti-collision lights. There's a lot of rules. And then you go ready to fly from there. And then you can log it as a manual flight if you don't have your flight already attached. And you can put in the name of your aircraft right here. You can put your aircraft in. I don't have any selected. I used a different app when I did this. And then the flight time and start the timer. Before you fly, as you saw, that was also with Aloft. They're very similar, but on this one, I don't think they have it tied where you can fill out a Lance authorization. Let's try it. There, control airspace, get Lance, and then when you do, it takes you to the other app. So yeah, so you can use before you fly. It's a lot simpler. It still has the checklist. It lets you notify people if you're flying in that area. But again, it's different because it doesn't let you have the capability to file the Lance authorization. So again, this is the Autel Evo 2 640T, the new one, the V3 model, and it's the enterprise package. Runs about $6,500 to $7,000. Before I went and flew, I had to say hi. I brought my partner, and Alpha joined me. She used to be scared of drones, but she's used to them now. This is Michigan City, Indiana, which is about 45 minutes from downtown Chicago, depending on traffic. It could be an hour 20 or so. There's basically a few rivers that lead to Lake Michigan. So while I was in this area, I wanted to make sure that I didn't fly over any restricted airspace, the Indiana Dunes, which I showed you before. But I just wanted to fly around and look at different objects and see how they showed up on the infrared sensor. So there we are. We show up warmer, and so does my vehicle and the engine. You notice that it's showing red there where the engine is. Some things I've noticed with infrared show up different colors, like that's the river. It shows up blue because of the temperature, but then you see a lot of the vehicles over there show up as red, and then that's a power plant. I wanted to take the drone up and see if it was showing higher temperatures in certain areas of the power plant that's next there. I wanted to make sure I didn't fly over that area as well. The roof shows up at warmer temperature. That could be due to some of the insulation. And as you see, there's a little high rise on the beach. All the lighting gives that a warmer red temperature. And again, the lake is blue, Lake Michigan. This area is the river where there's usually it's full with boats. But right now in the winter, everybody has to take their boats out by end of October, so it's empty. There's the beach. Now this is the different camera. It shows as mixed. You can see the different temperatures or infrared readings. Now some things, because of their color, if they're wood versus metal, there's a lot of different factors to take into consideration. So just because something is showing as red, yellow, or blue doesn't mean that it's actually showing that it's giving off more of a warmer infrared temperature. But it could be because of the reflectivity, emissivity. All of those things play a factor, so different materials. Now what you see now is I'm switching color palettes to see if one color palette shows more distinct differences than another one. And this is the parking lot with cars. I was trying to see if I could see any people walking. I think I see a few on the beach walking around. The bridge is metal. Some of the boats. I like this view though because it actually shows a color camera and you can move around and try to focus on things and see if there's a difference. The railroad track, it'd be interesting to see if a train went over it to see the change of color when the metal from the heat warms up. Looking to see if there's any power or electrical differences in some of the areas where you can see electrical components. And now I'm zooming in on us again. You see there's my vehicle and the bridge. And now I'm switching it to color camera, full mode, color camera, so you can see the difference of how it looks. I actually took this on this was about a 30-minute flight, but I just chopped up a few areas, highlighted them so you wouldn't be bored watching an entire 30-minute video. The time really does fly when you're out there looking around, especially with the thermal sensor. It felt like we were only out there for 10 minutes. I saw a solar panel. So I actually went back out and wanted to see if it appeared that any of them weren't working or that they weren't off. So once I get more experience, this is something that you can do with these sensors and drones, is you can do solar panel inspections. Instead of walking around and getting a ladder and inspecting them manually, it could take 4 or 5 hours. You could do it in probably less than 15 minutes with one of these thermal drones. You can see the heat radiating from these buildings where the temperature is warmer inside. And here we are again. Maya hates the cold weather, but she actually came out of the car for a little bit so that we can end the video. Alpha's temperature is a lot warmer than us, but maybe she just doesn't have on clothes. If we didn't have on clothes, we would look that way as well. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to learn more about it. And thanks for watching.
And always, keep it weird.